Charlotte Maxeke Academic Hospital has been closed since last month as following a fire. Now, this forced authorities to transfer patients to other facilities, and the hospital was set to reopen today. Well, authorities say they're looking into phasing in patients that were moved to other hospitals. Let's get an update now on the situation there. Our reporter, Manqoba Mchunu, joins us now. Good morning to you, colleague. I suppose that's a big question. Has the hospital officially reopened, and can patients be redirected there?
Well, Tumelo, what we do understand is that the hospital will not be opening its doors today. In fact, yesterday I did speak to the hospital, and also my colleague Tulasizwe Similani did speak to the spokesperson of the Charlotte Maxeke Hospital, who did confirm to eNCA that in fact they are not ready to open yet. We do understand that currently there is a team of deep cleaners that are inside the hospital that are cleaning up some of the wards to ensure that the hospital will be able to reopen. But a date for now, Tumelo, has not been set exactly as to when the hospital is likely to reopen. We do recall, Tumelo, that there were several investigations that were carried out after that fire that broke out on the 16th of April, and one of those investigations was on the structural integrity of the building itself. And we do understand that that particular investigation has been completed, and it has been cleared, the hospital that is, to be used again for reoccupation. But the sections of the hospitals that had been destroyed in that particular blaze, we understand that that investigation into the structure itself has not been concluded. So that's one of the holdups in terms of the hospital reopening its doors. But what we do understand at this particular point, Tumelo, is that patients are still being diverted, the outpatients, that is, to other hospitals, and the inpatients are currently at other facilities as things stand. But I want to speak now to the DA Shadow MEC for Health here in Gauteng, Jack Bloom, just to get his sense and perhaps his reaction on the reopening that was meant to happen today but has not quite happened. Jack, thank you for your time. Let's start here. The department and the hospital confirming that the hospital, in fact, won't be reopening today. How are you feeling about that? What's your reaction to that?
Well, I think it's very disappointing. You know, this hospital services thousands of patients. They've got outpatients, they've got patients who've now been transferred to other hospitals. And the real problem is that there's a massive backlog of surgery. You know, there's like hundreds of people waiting for cataract surgery, and people already can wait as long as 3 years for a hip operation. And I'm most concerned of all about the cancer patients, because delays are life-threatening. There's only 2 other hospitals that can assist, Chris Hani Baragwanath and the Steve Biko Hospital, and it's very important that the radiation machines start working as soon as possible and that chemotherapy isn't interrupted.
And in terms of what you're hearing from patients, Jack, I mean, what are some of the issues that you're hearing from some of the patients? I know that I've spoken to one patient who said that, since the hospital has been closed, they've not been able to get any form of assistance as to when they can come again and rebook at this particular hospital to receive their treatment. So what are you hearing from patients themselves?
Well, poor communication. The hotline is not always easy to get through to, and sometimes they're not given proper information. So I personally have had to deal with a lot of queries, particularly from cancer patients, actually, because there is not a clear plan for continuity of treatment. And then, of course, medicines. People, are told to go to their nearest facility for their medicines, but very often that facility might not have that particular medicine. So I'd like to see better communication and a plan as to what sections are going to open when, what we can really expect, because this is incredibly disruptive to our health system in Gauteng. We may well be facing a third wave of COVID-19 infections, and we need this hospital to operate. It's got 800 beds, and we need as many of them that can be safely opened as possible to be functional.
And you did a walkabout earlier on. I mean, do you think that the hospital will reopen soon, according to your own assessment, from what you've seen on the ground and what you're hearing inside the hospital?
I think some sections should be able to open soon. We must be absolutely stringent about safety requirements, but I think we've got staff. the staff are wanting to work, and patients want to get healed. They want to come back to this hospital. So hopefully at least part of the hospital can reopen, and I hope that includes the cancer section, because that's quite frankly irreplaceable in real practical terms. And hopefully within the next few weeks we can start getting back to some semblance of normality. But I do fear that certain sections of the hospital that were badly damaged may well be out for months. But then I think they must do some rearrangements and use other parts of the hospital to accommodate those patients.
One of the issues that you've touched on, of course, is the third wave. And we did hear from the Premier last week, Friday, about the concerns here, especially in Gauteng, around the increasing numbers of COVID-19 cases. Are you at all concerned that if this hospital doesn't open on time, this could perhaps, spell calamity?
Well, this hospital is a designated COVID-19 facility. They've got specialist ICU beds, which is extremely important. And, we may well be facing a third wave, and we need the beds at this hospital. If not, I hope that contingency plans are certainly put into place very, very quickly, because, we will need every bed if this third wave hits as badly as some people think it might.
And then you've also been raising issues previously. I've spoken to you on numerous occasions about issues of maintenance in this particular hospital. We do know that this certainly was not the first incident. We've seen an incident where a roof collapsed a few years ago, and there's always been issues of maintenance around the roofs in this particular hospital, around some of the machinery that are used in treating patients. Is this a concern that there seems to be not enough maintenance in this particular hospital? And do you think that perhaps this could also hinder the opening of this hospital on time?
Well, before the fire, the estimate was that it would cost about 400 million rand to comply with the occupational health and safety legislation. Now, that's a lot of money. I think that to repair the hospital, make it fully compliant, it might well be something like 1 billion rand. And I don't think the money is actually there, so I think what we're going to have to do is run the whole department way more efficiently and effectively, and cut the corruption and the wasteful spending. We've just spent 500 million rand, that's 500 million rand, on a hospital in the far West Rand that won't have been used for treatment. So, we can't afford wastage. You must spend money effectively and try and get this hospital running safely and fix up the maintenance issues.
Do you think that the provincial government has to answer on this delay?
I think we need a full independent investigation that needs to report to us in good time. The fire at the Bank of Lisbon building, they still haven't given us the report. So I think we need accountability. It seems to me that the fire safety issues were deficient, because we were told on the Friday afternoon the fire had been contained, and then it seems there wasn't enough water on site, and suddenly the fire flared up. So we need to have accountability, and I think we must look at all the hospitals in Gauteng, because we've actually had 4 fires at hospitals in the last 6 years, and God forbid we don't want any more fires. So we must jack up our safety procedures at all our hospitals, and get serious about patient safety and treatment. The patient comes first, and please, mustn't waste the money. Spend it properly, put the right people in the right positions, and then we'll have a decent health system.
Okay, thank you very much. That was Jack Bloom, who is the Shadow MEC for Health here in Gauteng. Of course, quite concerned, the opposition party, the fact that the hospital has not been opened, and as he says, they want more accountability on this particular issue. We are hoping to speak to the provincial government exactly on their plans of reopening this institution a bit later on.
All right.